Look at that. It's the cuckoo clock ringing us in.
9 o'clock cuckoo.
I love it. I love it. Hey, good morning, Leslie.
Good morning.
Gosh, I haven't seen you in a bit. I was traveling. I was in Lithuania.
Yeah, how was that?
It was awesome. I went to build stuff and I spoke at the conference there. I'd spoken there before. You know, my favorite thing about Lithuania is their meat pies because wherever I go, I'm from the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, and we have pasties. We do Cornish pasties up there. So I love meat pies. And when I go to Argentina, I love their hand pies. They have meat pies there. But Lithuania, they have these meat pies. They're called kibne, and they're little hand pies. And they come usually chicken or pork. Sometimes even they'll be vegetarian, but they're so good. I just ate meat pies all week. It was great. I loved it. It was good. And plus, I saw my friends and I talked and I did my speech about to learn to say no without being a jerk. It was good.
Hmm. That's
We
good.
had fun. We had fun.
Yeah.
How are you? How are you?
I'm great. While you were gone, I was doing a talk for IEEE on good to great leadership, and
Oh,
it went really well. It was a new talk for me,
cool.
and everybody related, and it was there were several hilarious stories involved.
Oh,
How to
oh, that is
screw
good.
up your leadership.
That's funny. And then
Yeah.
people go, "Oh yeah, I've had that leader before. I
Yeah,
know what you're
they do.
talking
They
about."
always recognize them. And I had a bunch of college students there. So,
Mm.
they weren't in the leadership role yet,
Uh-huh.
but they were able to appreciate the wisdom of everything. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
it was really great. So,
Nice.
yeah, it was fun.
Nice. Nice. Well, we were going to talk about trust today.
Yes, let's talk about trust.
Yeah. So,
So,
trust in the workplace is important. We've talked about that before. And trust in the workplace, if we are doing it right, can really build some strong teams, right? Some
yeah.
loyalty. You can have efficiency, good communication. So, when you're talking about trust and leadership, um, what are some important things to consider?
There are several important things to consider, but I'm just going to go with the one that so I'm going to start with the one that has a great deal of appeal to bottom line managers. Okay.
Mm.
When trust goes up, costs go down. And when
Oh.
trust goes down, costs go up. So I'm going to give you a quick
Mm.
example. The example is airports after 9/11.
Okay.
So trust went down. We didn't trust that everybody would behave in a safe way,
Mm-hmm.
and costs went up. So let me
Mm.
talk about some of those costs. The one that you and I know really well is that our time, there's a
Sure.
huge hit in our time. It takes us so much more time to traverse the airport because we have to go through all these security things and lines, lots of
I
lines.
used to just get to the airport 45 minutes before the flight. Now I get there three
Exactly.
hours before.
Yes. So there you go. That is a 2 hours and a quarter
Yeah,
cost to you.
big
I used to
difference.
get there sometimes just 20 minutes before the flight was going to take off. At the time, Austin Airport was pretty small. We had a different
Uh-huh.
airport than we do now. And I could just breeze in, say hi to the ticket guy, and go down
Get
the
on.
hall and get on the
Yeah,
plane.
yeah.
And so that's one cost. Another
Mm.
cost is the cost of hiring TSA agents and security agents all around the world. Now,
Mm.
these agents, uh, given the lack of trust, are performing a valuable service, but they're not producing any products. So
Uh,
that's a cost to society in general when you have people who are not producing anything. That's a cost to the
mm-hmm.
society in general, but just to the airports and the airlines, it's a huge, huge cost. Think about how many. security agents you see in an airport, and that's 24/7.
Yeah.
That is a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then there's the other cost, and this is an extraordinarily expensive cost, the cost of redoing the infrastructure.
Mm,
So you now have, you can't get from one place to another without
that's
going
right.
through security. And so they had to rework
Even
the,
with the garages and the parking too, because you couldn't park close anymore. Remember, you
yeah,
used to be able to park really close.
yeah, yeah. So there's just so many costs. Oh, I see your kitty. By the way, I'm having some internet issues, and so if I just disappear,
Oh,
I'll
okay,
be
okay.
back.
All right, all right.
But anyway, the cost of the infrastructure is not just the cost of the building and reconfiguring the building, but also look at those gigantic scanner things that we have now at airports that suck in your baggage and look at it and then
Yes. Uh-huh.
shoot it out. I mean, those are not cheap. And so, anyway, so there is the cost of, or the amount of trust went down and the cost skyrocketed. Um, Well, that's true in your individual business too. If your employees don't trust you, they're
Mm-hmm.
kind of wondering what's going on. Why is she doing that? Is there going to be a layoff? Is there going to be
Yeah.
a reorg? And so they're
Uh-huh.
wasting a lot of time, and that's a cost. They're spending time trying to figure out what's going on
What's
because
going
they
on?
don't trust you to be doing the
Yes, that
best thing.
certainly happened at my late husband's company. I would see that where they would somebody would maybe come in. Oh, are we going to get bought out? Oh, are we going to be acquired? We're going to get bought. I don't know. Did you hear? I don't know. I
Yeah.
saw there were people around. Yeah.
Who are those people?
Right, and they would just spend all their day gossiping and
Right.
trying
So,
to guess.
so that's the cost of productivity.
Mm-hmm.
Productivity goes way down, and I often separate that. So the trust goes up, productivity goes up, and costs go down, and reverse, trust goes down, productivity goes way down because
Right.
you're wondering what the heck's going on,
Yeah.
and then costs go way up. So this is a really important thing to have trust so that you can have productivity and have lower costs, much lower costs.
Mm.
Um, think of the cost of hiring a new employee. Now we know that the cost of hiring an employee is basically 2x their salary, and that's the
Yeah.
combination of all the recruiting costs and then bringing them up to speed and interviewing lots of candidates and taking the time of the hiring manager and the team and all the recruiters and this and that. So there's 2x, and that is well established, a 2x cost. So if your basic costs, if your employees, I'm just going to pick a number here, if your employees average salary plus benefits is $150,000, it's going to cost $300,000 for every new hire that you want to bring on, just in terms of other people's time.
Mm.
And uh, it doesn't include the cost of their salary, it's just the cost of other people's time to bring
Mm.
that new person up to speed. Well, what if there's a lack of trust? I've known companies that will interview candidates 12 times before they
Ah,
bring them on.
7 even. Somebody was telling me 7.
Yeah. How
I have a
many times
friend
do you
who's
have
going
to?
through it right now, and they're trying to simultaneously do these at the same time, right? So if you're interviewing with 5 companies, and I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible.
And part of that is the lack of trust. You don't trust these potential employees, so you just keep interviewing them, interviewing, seeing if there's anything you shouldn't trust. And
Yes.
similarly, the employees don't really trust you, and especially after the third interview that went well,
Right.
and then they say, well, we have four or five more of these to do. I mean, they're thinking, what, do these not, people not know how to do business? What's wrong?
Right.
So
Right.
that is partly a lack of trust, partly just a really foolish policy and procedure plan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in any case, so I, I put out to everyone that trust is critical to efficiency. It greases the wheels. It
Mm.
makes it simple. There was a story about, oh gosh, Sam Walton buying a company, and he talked to some person that he trusted, and a month or two later, they had the deal done without having to hire lots of lawyers
Wow.
and go through all sorts of procedures to check the other company out. And they just bought them and moved on. And it was because there was trust there. So
Mm.
it's simple. I, I noticed that, think about something like buying a car.
Uh-huh.
Suppose you're buying a car from a friend. Suppose I'm buying a car from you. Well, I trust
Right.
you. And if I say to you, well, has the car been in any accidents? And you say, well, one, but it was just this here, and I'll show you where it got
Uh-huh.
dinged. And I would trust you, and I'd say, okay, that's fine. So let's make the transaction.
Right.
But if I didn't trust you, I
Yes.
wouldn't know if the car had been completely totaled and you were just patching it up and pawning it off on me if I
Yeah.
didn't trust you. Now,
It makes the environment safer.
trust makes the environment safer. The reason we have real estate attorneys is because it's a really big transaction for most people. And so, oops, sorry, they want to, um, they want to have some way to trust
Right.
that they're that
Investment's going to be
yeah, and they don't have automatic trust, so there's all these protective things around it.
right.
So in any case, if you can build trust within your organization, if you can
Mm-hmm.
build a trusting culture, you can reduce the friction, you can
Mm.
reduce the office gossip, you can
Yes.
deliver stuff faster, you can
Yeah.
have a healthier environment. Now we're getting into your zone. Uh,
Yeah.
you have an
Yeah.
environment where people are not stressed out because they don't know what the heck's going on.
That's right. That
So
uncertainty. That
the
uncertainty.
uncertainty.
I
So
once talked to a leader, a team lead. He was really adamant about my job is actually to protect my team so that my team can be efficient and they can do their work because management is constantly coming down, calling meetings. Oh, I want this explanation. I need this report. I need this. I need that. And he said, my job is just to keep them away from them and be a barrier for communication so that my team can actually be productive and do the work. And
mhm,
his team trusted him to do that, to protect them. And when they wanted to have time off, they knew that he would go to bat for them, and it was great. They had that trust in him that he was going to take care of them.
yeah, and that's so important. So I talk a lot about great leadership,
Mm,
and I used to think it was about really good communication, really excellent
mm,
communication. Then I thought, oh, it's also about having an engaged leader
yes.
and having an empowered team.
Uh huh.
And then I dug a little deeper and I realized now the thing at the base of this is trust.
It's
Now I might
trust.
dig deeper and find something else, but I think I've hit the core. So the base of great leadership is trust. And
Mm,
and there's ways that people can help build trust. And I know that that's something that you know a lot about and I know a lot about, but it's about how do you build trust within a team
mm-hmm.
and how do you let others come to trust you. And we both know how easy it is to break that trust.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And it's hard to recover it, and sometimes nearly impossible if damage has been done
Yeah.
early enough and the
Yeah.
communication has been, sometimes if people will bulldoze over a
Hmm.
team and not take in everybody's input and then just make decisions without taking in their input, you can get blindsided. I've seen leaders go, "Oh, what? This is the best thing." Well, how do you know? You didn't ask everybody, and
Yeah.
now trust is broken, and people aren't going to follow that leader anymore.
And that is so painful. If you
Yeah.
trusted your leader and then they did something that completely upended your trust, it
Yes.
upends your worldview.
Or
You
even if they're negligent with your trust, right?
Yeah,
And even that, you're like, but wait a minute, why didn't you stand up for me? Why didn't you go to bat for me? Yeah.
yeah. So it's the wait, I thought
Right.
it was going to go this way. I thought I could trust you, and now I
Mm-hmm.
can't. So I'm so confused because your worldview is all
That's right.
um, discombobulated. And
Yeah.
so that's very emotionally stressful. You have to say, well, what's going on here? Did I
Yeah.
miss some signals? I
Right.
thought this, and now I realized it's not this.
Mm.
And so that causes a lot of emotional stress. So I think I've yapped on a lot, and
No,
we
it's
got to
good.
emotional stress, and
No, it's good. It's good. It's good stuff this morning. And it's good to see you and catch up with you. Of course, we do I don't think we have any upcoming places that we're going to be
right,
connecting. I
we
don't think we
don't
have any
yet.
upcoming conferences or workshops coming up. We do have our online workshop, though. It's the second Friday of every month. And
Hmm.
so the second Friday of next month, I don't know what day that's going to be. Is that going to be
It could
December, what, 17th? No, that's
13th.
13th. Friday the 13th. Ooh, Friday the
Ooh,
13th. So
bring
that'll
your
be
kitty.
10, I know, yeah, 10 a.m. Pacific and noon Central.
Yeah.
And we'll do our leadership workshop where we role play and we have scenarios that we practice trust with leaders. We
Hmm.
practice language and communication and back pocket phrases, and understand a little bit more about how to support people in the workplace to create more trust and to create um, more positive experiences, I guess, in the
Yeah.
workplace, more emotional intelligence, more emotional resilience.
Well, part of what we look for in the scenarios is if a person's a leader says something that causes the subordinate to just throw up defenses. What was that? And it's often something that the subordinate wasn't expecting that causes a lack of trust,
Mm,
causes a alarm to go off. What?
mm,
Is he trying to fire me?
right.
What's happening here?
Am I in trouble?
Yeah, and I didn't think I was in trouble. I thought I was doing a great job.
Right.
Um, so there's a lot of opportunity to build trust, and then there is that opportunity to destroy it. And
And
so,
building it takes time, and you
yeah,
can destroy it just like that
right.
with a
And
careless mistake. Yeah,
yeah, and it is possible to rebuild the trust, but that takes so long.
it
And
does.
that is a really, and I would posit that you can do that in person, but it's really hard to do that if you have a remote workplace
Yeah.
because you're not physically
It's
proximate.
easier if you can kind of get a feel for somebody in 3D, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You use your intuition, you're using your other senses, you can feel their body language, their tone a little bit more, the volume of their voice is all these things are a little more apparent as opposed to on
yeah,
Slack, over text, on Zoom. It's
yeah,
harder. It's a lot harder to get a read.
yeah. And if you're in the same building and you're walking down the hall and the person won't make eye contact with you,
Yes,
well, that's a clue.
that's right. Right, exactly. Exactly. Totally. Oh man. All right. Well, listen, I guess I'll see you next week. Next week is Wednesday. Oh yeah. I'll have a friend visiting. My friend Debbie O'Brien will be here. I'm really excited about that. Haven't seen her in a while. And, um, she'll be visiting. They're from Mallorca. She and her husband Tony
Oh,
are from Mallorca, Spain,
nice.
and they'll be visiting. And they were going to have a proper American Thanksgiving. And
Oh,
they've
wow.
never had Thanksgiving before. And Tony said, "Oh, you mean like are we going to have turkey like on in the movies?" And I said, "Yes, we're definitely going to have turkey
Well,
like in the
Thanksgiving's
movies."
one of my favorite holidays, and
Yeah.
I have a very large plan so that it
Oh,
goes
good.
off without stress. And Tuesday is the day where we set the table, and
Nice.
Wednesday is the day where I bake pies and make
Love it.
cranberry sauce, and just all
Excellent.
sorts of
Excellent.
ritual of this hap. So when we're getting together tomorrow or next week on Wednesday,
It'll be
I'll have
pie
my
day.
it'll be pie day. I'll have my rolling pins out.
It'll be pie day. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, you have a great week until then, Leslie.
You too.
All
See
right,
you
I'll see you
later.
then. You bet. Bye.
Bye.